girl that did what cry Jesus.
The devil.
Though know it not.
The devil will speak to scripture too.
Though know it not. It's not true.
We are damned.
Wake! Fetch the billock, wife, and I will smite Jonas as Abraham would have done his seed.
Oh, stop it!
Fetch
Stop
the
it!
billock, and I will dash his skull.
Do you see? Stop it. Do you see now?
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Sinister Frame of Halloween month and a half. The way we're checking these out would probably be more like Halloween month and 3/4.
Halloween year.
Yes, that's right.
Halloween
Well,
season of the witch.
you know what? Because people have been so patient with us getting certain ones out and so forth, we're going to pepper in a couple extra. And this one is an extra. And then we're also going to pepper in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So you're welcome. Okay. Before we jump into this one, we're going to talk about last podcast, which is the remake of Salem's Lot. Now, I'm sure some of you heard of it. Got quite aggressive. There's a difference between being aggressive and being passionate. That's the way I look at it. Now, my passion, my argument, and not necessarily toward Rain Man over there, Trevor.
Don't fucking start me. Do not start me.
But it was to everybody. And what I mean by that, remakes get a bum rap. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of shit out there, so I guess I can go with that. But they're never going to win. Because no matter what, people are going to have a soft spot for the original. Which, you know what? I'll go with that. But don't review a podcast. Don't review the film. Don't write about the film. Don't see the film. If you can't close your mind on the original and see what this one, what the remake's trying to do, at least, you might not like it because you're going to be favor the original. I went with that same way with Salem's Lot. I like the original over the reboot, but I found a lot of good in the reboot. And I just think people should not be watching remakes if they can't walk away from the original. That's all I was trying to say. But my point of this conversation is there's arguments and banter. And so I'm going to take this moment to apologize on Trevor's behalf for his violent temper.
Oh dear. No, I've said nothing. We had this out in the last podcast, and this is a different film, a new podcast, a brand new day. You know, a fresh start. You know, let's fight about something else instead. Let's fight about another film. You know, what I would say, you're sweating over nothing. It was a good laugh. No, I mean, it wasn't personal. Well, it wasn't for me anyway, you know. I know you got a bit personal, but...
No, I'm just saying I accept your apology for your violent attack on me. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure our average listener were very concerned about my well-being.
Yeah, I'm sure you survived. Well, you did, obviously. You know, we're back.
Yes, we are back. But yeah, we're back, and we're here to talk the 2015 The Witch. Now, The Witch is kind of the film that started the whole wonderful, absolutely wonderful subgenre elevated horror.
I disagree.
Wow. There we go. See, I'm trying to keep my calm, people. I'm trying to keep my calm. See how I'm trying to be relaxed here? Trying to relax and try to get this out before I'm really interrupted.
Go ahead.
Oh, now he pauses.
I
Okay.
I'll get to my point, but I'm letting you finish first.
Well, originally you didn't, though. See, that's my point. See. Anyways, this is going to be another long one. This podcast will take 10 minutes. No. Yeah, so I believe the subgenre was coined elevated horror when a series of different films were coming out. I think it really took off when this came out. The Witch, the 2015, directed by Robert Eggers. Now, I'm not a big fan of the phrase, technically because there's a sense of snobbery and it looks down at other horror films, and actually not horror films, and the horror subgenres.
Agree.
So right there, I'm taken away from it. And this is not toward Robert Eggers. This is not the filmmaker's fault. This is some asshole who coined the subgenre as elevated horror.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they should stick with what it was, which I think you told me when we did the Wicker Man folk horror or something like that.
Yes.
But elevated just gives it this little snootiness. And horror, there's no place in horror for snootiness.
I agree. 100%. I would say the whole elevated horror thing, I think more or less kicked off with the Babadook. But yes, I'm certainly, through no fault of this film or Eggers, it's certainly been sort of framed within that whole elevated horror thing. I agree that it is a snobby term that snobs you to say, oh, but I only like, elevated horror, unlike, your trice, So it's like they want their cake and to eat it. So yes, I agree with you there. However, I would argue to those people that The Witch is not an example of elevated horror. Like you said, it's folk horror. It's a very low budget, independent, a minimal cast, totally stripped back. So I think where people are getting confused, perhaps, is because it's played so deadly straight. And
well, no, I mean, you go ahead, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, well, that's
Sorry.
okay. Yeah, that's okay. I accept your apology.
See what I did there? I apologized. And let you continue.
Yeah, I think where people are, maybe if a horror film is perhaps well acted or well directed and produced, then people are quick to put this elevated horror tagline on it. You know what? As I've said before in this podcast, to me, there is no elevated horror or non-elevated horror. Yes, of course, there's subgenres like slasher and folk horror and stuff, but to me, the elevated horror thing is very unhelpful. It's the sort of thing that, as we say, snobs say towards the genre, and to me, there's just horror, along with its many other sort of more technical subgenres like slasher, zombie films, and all that sort of thing.
This is Robert Eggers' first outing. A couple shorts here and there. Now, when I first saw The Witch, I'm not into this crap. I'm not into folk horror.
Trees?
And,
you like trees, don't you?
Yeah, fuck that. Jesus.
Naked old, trees and naked old people.
Yeah, we'll get the nakedness in here.
Yep, obviously.
Robert Eggers, this actually did quite well. I think it's mainly because you mentioned Babadook, and you had another one called Sinister, which was quite good. Scott Derrickson kind of reinvented the horror a little bit. You had all these different kind of films coming out. The Witch, I think, is where folk horror, maybe that's where I was going with. Folk horror was reborn a bit.
Yes, a bit of a resurgence.
A resurgence, I guess you can say, because once we get this, then we'll get Hereditary, Midsummer. Like now, these are all pretty much the same guys doing these films, but it was definitely a resurgence.
Yeah. Basically, it was Mark Gatiss that actually coined the phrase folk horror, and he's went on over the last 10 years or so to produce and write, adaptations of M.R. James stories for the likes of the BBC, basically rebooting that 1970s series, A Ghost Story for Christmas. Nowhere near as good, I would have to say, as well. But yes, so, Gatiss, certainly in the UK, he's behind that whole sort of resurgence of folk horror, which we would have had, we've always had, but even in the 70s with the likes of The Wicker Man, Blood on Satan's Claw, the Hammer films, and that sort of thing. So yes, in recent years, it's definitely had a resurgence.
Yeah, and Robert Eggers catapulted from this one film. He'd go on and get a lot of praise for, his next train wreck, The Lighthouse.
Oh, that's a touchy one.
Terrible film.
Oh, disagree.
We won't get into it, but certainly listen to the podcast. It's actually a good laugh.
Yeah.
And then the horrible Viking film, The Northman. Now, The Northman had actually competency. He's a competent filmmaker, I can tell you that right now. But it was just, what is this? There was nothing there.
I think The Northman, while I did enjoy it at the time, I think it's the weakest of his three films, but there's still a lot to like about it.
So to me, Roger, we'll dive a little more into Nosferatu coming out. So I kind of like him still a little bit. I'm giving him a pass, and until I see Nosferatu, and if it's shit, which kind of looked kind of bland to me, I'm gonna walk away from him at this point. If Nosferatu doesn't do anything, because The North and the Lighthouse are a train wreck. Like his the other guy who came out around this time, Ari Lester, who gave us Hereditary. We all know how I feel about that shit ending. But then he went on to even a worse film, Midsummer, and then he went on to do even a horrible film called Beau is Afraid.
I haven't seen it.
So,
but Midsummer was just...
so this guy's just flat all the way around. So it'll be interesting to see if, like I said, I don't want to see these guys fail because I like a good up and coming director. These guys are independent. I like the fact they hold their own and they're going to put in what they want. Leave me the fuck alone. With good backing, especially with studios like A24, who are fucking awesome right now.
Yeah.
The Australian-based production company who's given us some great stuff. And so far, A24 has let these guys do what they want. And so we got to applaud, that kind of studio. And hopefully the major studios will start backing some of these guys,
I would say as well. I mean, this is sort of a bit of a sort of, it sounds like I'm sort of going off topic. But I was discussing recently the new Joker film, Joker 2, and I said that I'm not really into musicals. And I was sort of, a lot of people jumped on me, what do you mean? And I said, look, it's not that I dislike musicals. I respect them, but I'm just not into them. So that's basically what you're saying here. You don't have to be into a director's work to appreciate them or respect them, if you know what I mean. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, it can go. I'm not a big fan of folk horror.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But I can appreciate what the director's vision was. Mm-hmm. All right, listen, we kind of went outside the topic, going about Salem's Lot and Trevor's violent rant, and now our kind of definition of folk horror and elevated horror. All right, so 2015 Witch. Simple story. Isolated Puritan family in the 1630s, New England, comes unraveled by witchcraft and possession.
Or do they? Because there is...
do they?
There's a big theory that basically... And Eggers has left it open. Eggers has said, whatever your interpretation of it is, then that's fair enough. But the theory is that basically it's a big mass hallucination by the family due to isolation and starvation and all the rest. I don't go with it, but it is a theory.
Well, we'll jump into that when we get to the end.
Yes.
Thanks, Trevor.
I didn't spoil it. I just was setting it up.
I know. Well, it is spoilers. We're a fucking podcast. We got the very young Anya Taylor-Joy as Thomasin.
Thomasin?
Is how it's pronounced. It's actually not called Thomasin. It's Thomasin.
Thomasin?
Get it right. Get it? Is it?
Well, yes. Well,
no, it's Thomasin.
Well, actually,
it's pronounced Thomasin, which is the female equivalent of Thomas.
Yes, but in this film, they refer to her as a Thomasin.
That's because of their accents, probably.
We're going to call
her Furiosa. We're going to call her Furiosa.
Yeah, Furiosa. And also, I want to call William Finchy from The Office.
Yeah.
His Puritan
I'm going to call him
ancestor.
I'm going to call him. I like Ralph Fiennes, and the only reason I really like him, I saw him in that first Omen, and he was good. And I like his voice. He's got a great fucking voice.
Yeah, he's got that northern sort of, hey up lad, sort of accent.
No, it's not. No, he's got that deep, throaty, froggy. It's just great. He should read children's stories.
Well, Danny Trejo does, so there you
that's
go. Fine by me.
So we got Katie Dickey, is it?
Kate Dickey, yes.
Catherine, Julie Richards as the Gov. I just want to mention him. He's in the very beginning. He always plays creepy characters. Then you got the little fuckers. Well, Caleb is all right. Then you got the little bastards, Mercy and Jonas. And, of course, the scene stealer, Black Phillip.
Yeah, my spirit animal. I love Black Phillip.
So they're being banished. Now, when they're being banished from their home, their town.
Yes.
Is that because they're practicing a different faith? I didn't understand why they were being banished.
It's basically Finchy from The Office. William is obsessed, and he is, let's just say the Puritans weren't exactly much fun at parties, but he goes even further, where he basically accuses them of not being Christian enough, not being strict enough with their Christian faith. So then between him basically walking away and them banishing him, the family are sent out to the woods. Basically, they're banished from the settlement.
Okay.
That's
weird because they seem quite strong Christian beliefs
big
when
time.
they're together.
Puritans were
so
hardcore.
how yeah, so they must have been really fucking up in their A game there.
Well, William here is, I mean, it's very well written and subtly written, but he's basically obsessed with God and religion and praying. He's like the big bad super Puritan. So even the Puritans in the settlement weren't even pure enough for him.
Now I'm getting confused. Now you're reversing it. I thought you said they got exiled because they weren't Christian enough. Now
No, it was the other way about. It was the other way about.
Oh, okay. That's why I was getting confused. Because when you said, I thought you said they were banished because they weren't.
No,
they weren't Christian enough.
No. William was accusing them of not being Christian enough, not being strict enough.
So because when I was about to say, because when they go to their own little world, they're fucking. He's a strong Christian. That's why I was getting confused.
Yes. Oh no, he's a super duper Christian.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So there's a nice shot. A lot of horror films always do this, and I always go The Evil Dead when I think of this. Now a lot of films have done this probably since the 20s, but they always like that nice introduction of the family about to go into danger, and it's pretty much just a long shot of them heading into the forest, on the horse-driven wagon, and horse-driven wagon, that is, and then you see the long shot of the forest that they're about to go into. Yeah, the kind of the same shot where they're the car going into the Evil Dead, going into the little skinny road, going into the forest, and the music changes, or actually there's no music; it's just a sense of calm.
Yeah, I would say that as well. The aspect ratio, the way this is shot, is basically like he did with the lighthouse, a much different than the sort of regular ratio aspect. It's taller, basically, this film, the way it's shot. He did that to basically make the trees look taller and make them more threatening, essentially.
I think I'm probably completely wrong, and film students will probably cut my head off. But Citizen Kane did that. I think the way he shot, what he did was he shot from an upwards angle to give the appearance of taller figures.
That's very possible.
I could be completely wrong there, but that just reminded me of Citizen Kane.
Obviously,
you just said there.
Obviously, things like this work so much better in a cinema screen. On a cinema screen or on as big a screen as possible. But yes, he does something similar, or he did something similar with the lighthouse as well, where it's compressed, to give it that sense of claustrophobia.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it
worked for you.
It did. The lighthouse gave me, not claustrophobia,
post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, it was just Jesus. Now there's a shot which I'm sure I'm completely wrong, where they're praying and they're on their knees.
Yes,
and they're looking at this. It almost looks like a single tree, but it's not. But it looks like it's almost a white tree, and they're on this little hill, and they're taking time out to pray for their travels, and they got their hands in the air, and the husband and wife combine hands, and then you got this really creepy omen, the whole omen music in the background. As they embrace their hands of the couple, it forms a W.
Yes,
do you think that was
totally intentional? Totally, yeah,
intentional.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. And there is, there is so much going on here with Eggers, and signposting and stuff. And it's definitely one of those films that improves, and you notice so much more on repeat viewings.
Now, in the beginning of the podcast, you spoiled the film for our listeners.
No, it didn't.
Saying that it could have been all. It's claustrophobic, it's someone else is doing this. It's not a witch. It's in this case, it would be Furiosa.
Yeah.
And let's just say Thomasine. All right, Thomasine. And as going through this now, I don't think there was witches. I actually think she killed them all.
Well, there's a lot of suggestion earlier on that it might be her, the scene where she's washing Finchy's, like, his top, his overalls type thing, and she's winding the young girl Mercy up. What she's saying exactly, basically, about the book and stuff, that's basically later comes into play for real. Personally, I think she was innocent completely, and well, we'll get to the ending and what happens with her. But
Well, yeah, we'll dig a little deeper, but I'm planning to see that. I'm going to go with it. She did it. And I'll kind of break it why. Well, we'll start right now. Baby goes missing.
yes,
She's the only one. She's the last one to see the baby. Same thing with Caleb, which we're about to talk about. So now the only thing that's throwing me off a bit is when the baby goes missing, we cut to, and this is where our boy Trevor went, yeah, this is what I want. A naked old woman killing a baby and bathing in its blood.
right.
And her tits, I wouldn't call them tits, probably knees at this point because that's how low they are. But she becomes a super witch after sacrificing the baby.
Right. I would say something, a couple of things here, actually. Right. This scene, it's actually, well, it's important for a couple of reasons. Obviously, for the plot to go forward. But Eggers in this here has, and his other films, has a real obsessive attention to historical detail. So he does. And see this thing, and to be fair to Eggers, it's not gratuitous, this scene, because that's
No, he's not going to show a baby get.
Well, thankfully, yeah, and he doesn't. But basically, it's still disturbing, and it's a case of what you don't see is more disturbing than what you do. But yes, with this, apparently, what the witch is doing here, connected to like real historical apparent spells. I don't believe in any of that stuff, right? But apparently witches' spells back in the day, one of the ingredients, along with other things like hemlock and stuff, for a flying spell was the blood of an unbaptized baby. Don't forget, Samuel, the baby, hasn't been baptized. That's important. So, and then at the end, again, we're going into spoilers here, when you see the witches flying, so it does tie up with what the witch does here. It's an ingredient for her spell, the baby.
Yeah, well, I know that. Yeah, I mean, you can clearly see that.
Yeah.
She's bathing in it, and her wand or whatever is being bathed in it, and so forth. So we see Caleb, who's always checking out his little sister's, his bigger sister's boobs.
Yeah, well, that's another theme going on.
But
here.
that's just which we will find out the witch uses against him.
Yes, he's going through puberty.
Attacks him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going through. So I'm not going to make some sick comment because I'm classy like that. People very classy. Trevor was about to say something rude.
No, I wasn't.
So I quickly cut him off.
I was going to bullshit. I was going to say yes. Basically, there's a theme here of sort of sexual repression and sort of puberty and all that sort of thing. Coming of age sort of thing. There is that theme here as well.
Well, yeah, you got to realize the parents are these really strong Christians, so they're not going to teach them
sexual repression,
the birds and bees.
Yes, exactly. Plus, there are no other. It's not like he's like 12, 13. There's no other girls, anywhere near him. Because they basically isolated themselves completely because of the father.
Now we're introduced to the best character, which is Black Phillip.
Yes,
and we talk about kids in cinema. And this one's a different one. I hate kids. We all know that. All right? That's no big deal. We all agree. And lately, kids in cinema, the acting's been pretty good. So I give them little passes here and there.
Very generous of you.
Obviously, Anya and the young kid who plays Caleb are very good. Then you got these little fuckers, Jonas and Mercy. Now I'll tell you what. Here's the funny thing. This is kind of weird. The actors playing Jonas and Mercy are very fucking good.
I agree. And they're meant to be annoying. And boy, they are annoying.
Yes. This time it's different because it's not just because they're terrible actors and terrible characters. They're actually good actors playing annoying fucking characters.
But at the same time...
I know that was the intent of the director. Be fucking annoying. Just... we want you dead. Yeah. And that's pretty much their motivation.
But there's also...
And I've never wanted two children to be hurt so bad in cinema history until this one.
Yeah, I mean, they're set up like that. They're meant to be. But they're also very believable, like little brats as well. Again, down to the acting and the writing. But, but there's also the strong suggestion that later on the scene with Caleb when he's on the bed dying, along with, other scenes where they're basically talking to Black Phillip, who's Lucifer, essentially. And there's also the suggestion that they're behind it all.
Yeah. Yeah, because they do disappear, don't they?
Also, during the scene where Caleb is being prayed over basically when he's dying on the bed. They can't remember the Lord's Prayer. They forget their prayer. And that is, again, due to old folklore, all this witchy stuff from back in the day. That is a sign that someone is bewitched. So it does, let's face it, they are little shits, so it wouldn't surprise me,
Like little fucking Damians.
I would believe that they were behind it more than Thomason or Thomason.
No, because if there are witches, the end game was her. They need her.
Thomason is innocent here until the end.
I don't think she's innocent. I think she believes she's innocent.
Well, she's being set up.
Yeah, but it's kind of like when we talk about Longlegs.
Yeah,
it's the central character doesn't really understand that they're actually involved.
Yes,
they're the end game.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So so there's a couple of scenes where the father starts he's kind of not doing his job by getting these kids fed, and he hides behind the prayer by saying, we're going to fast tomorrow for our sins.
Yes.
Well, that's just code for I can't get you any food.
Exactly.
And there's it's sad, but it's a funny scene where the mom goes, the mom and dad are about to get into a heated argument about you're not helping our kids. We need to get these kids, because the mom is the sane one at this point.
Yeah.
And she is trying to tell him, you need to do your fucking job. You moved us out here. But before the argument gets heated, like a floorboard up, hey kids, you sleeping?
Yeah.
And they don't answer, but they're clearly wide awake, and you yelling at them, they're going to be awake. They don't answer, so they start arguing. I just thought that's probably what happened, I guess, in the old colonial days or whatnot. But I thought that was
well. There's a couple of very important plot points that come up here. The fact,
what's with the rabbit?
Well, the rabbit's either the witch herself, according to again all this folklore stuff. Either the witch herself or a familiar of the witch. It's a her, by the way, not a rabbit. Sorry to be pedantic, but I'm a bit like that with stuff like this. But yes, it's very possibly, according to folklore, all this sort of thing, is a form that the witch herself can take. But I just want to go back a bit. There's a couple of important plot points that happen around these scenes, when they're hunting and stuff before Caleb goes missing. First off, the mother wants to get rid of Thomason. She wants to go back to the settlement and sell her off to a family, basically to be a paid servant type thing. But also the silver cup of her grandfather's goes missing. And this is a very important one. But Thomason gets the blame of it. So she does. But it was actually Finchy from the office who had traded it.
Yeah, that conversation's not up yet, but yeah. It does happen. She says, no, this is when Caleb was missing.
It's before Caleb goes missing that he admits. Yes, he admits because he tells Caleb about it. He traded it. You see when him and Caleb are out hunting.
No. This happens when Caleb and Thomason decide they're going to go hunt for food, right? Or whatever they're going to do, and Caleb gets abducted by a big-breasted witch woman.
No, it happens.
Yes, it is.
I promise you, it happens. And see the scene before where Caleb and his father, William, are out hunting. So that's when we first see the hare. And, when he tries to shoot the hare, but it's like, the shot.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's then that William tells Caleb that he traded the silver cup for the hunting equipment that they've got, the traps and stuff, so they can hunt for food and get food. Then,
yes, I know that.
Yes. Then it is later on that before Thomason and Caleb go out.
You're wrong.
Before they go out, the mother accuses Thomason of losing basically the cup, the silver cup.
No, you're wrong.
Not, I promise you.
No, it's not. The dad and Caleb do the hunting thing. We know that. All right? So Caleb feels bad because he wants to get some, so he takes the equipment, the gun, and blah, 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 and Thomason wants to go with him.
Yes.
And they're going to go hunt, and that's where Caleb goes missing with a sexy witch woman.
Yes.
All right?
But in between this...
No, it's not.
This, during the dinner scene,
let me finish.
It is mentioned...
Let me know. It might be mentioned some flat, but it is brought up again. You brought up the fact that the father confesses. That doesn't happen till they're still searching for the child.
Yes.
Caleb's still missing.
Yes.
Then the mother starts going after Thomasine about you took it, and then the father can't take this anymore. He jumps in and goes, I took it.
But in between this, the mother says, Catherine says to Thomason about the cup. So there's a couple of scenes actually to do with the cup.
Yeah, there's probably a couple
whenever
scenes,
whenever
the confession part happens after.
Whenever I said confessing, I meant he originally confesses to Caleb. No, that's the scene I was talking about.
Right.
So the bit of a misunderstanding there. He confesses to Caleb first, and he's basically, for all his puritanical Christianity, he's a hypocrite and a liar. But I think William is at heart a good man, because he especially towards the end, he finally goes, "Please spare my children," while I was here. But I think he's just become completely obsessed and basically addicted to religion and praying obsessively, and all of the whole sort of puritanical Christianity thing, which was very prevalent, of course, at the time.
Well, the reason he becomes more and more infatuated with the Christianity and his beliefs is because nothing's working for him.
That is pride.
So he's hiding behind his faith.
Yes,
is his problem.
He's a weak man.
Yeah, so Caleb goes missing, as I mentioned, after making love to witchy woman.
Yep.
But he comes back.
Well, but he's met someone in the woods, of course.
Yeah, well, I said that. I just said witchy woman.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Why did he gotta?
Yeah.
And I brought it up.
No, I just wanted to go back to that because it's very similar to the scene in The Shining with the woman in the bathtub. I just wanted to say that.
God. Fine. You happy?
Yes. Move on.
Please, I've been wanting to for the last 20 minutes. All right, so why did she cut him in the floor? Why did she cut him?
I think it was for his blood or something, but also...
Yeah, and she's putting the blood in the bowl. Why did she do that?
For a spell?
When she found him.
Oh, sorry, you mean the mother? The mother?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming with Eagers having a real sort of eye for attention to detail, I'm assuming it's to sort of in some way see if his blood's pure or not. I don't know, but I'm assuming there is a proper relevance to that. Or to see, maybe they could in some sort of way find out if he was in sort of old-timey beliefs, to check his blood to see if it was bewitched. Now, she does mention that she does want to go back to the settlement to get a proper doctor for him. So maybe it was for the doctor to test the blood or something. I don't know, but I'm assuming there is a proper
It's probably
relevance.
some kind of ailment. It's probably some kind of thing they tested for back then. But, so, little fuckers are running around with Philip.
Black Philip.
And then Philip, I don't think the little fuckers are involved at all.
Well, don't know.
I don't know, no, because I think Black Phillip is talking to them. Yes, that is happening. He's telling them, listen, your sister's a witch.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell her. That's what I'm telling you, though. He is deliberately turning those two kids against her.
Yes,
he is turning this family into, and so he might be the one brainwashing them. But I don't think they're involved deliberately. Or
no. I agree. And basically, it's also the song, the sing about him being a Keenan stuff again. It's very much, tying into the reveal of who he really is. This goat. But no, the kids are just being used they're all being used as pawns. This is just a game being played. Even the witch herself is a pawn here. This is Lucifer, Black Phillip, that is playing all of them off each other and using the witch to basically do his bidding. Black Phillip's the villain here, the big villain.
So, of course he is. But once Caleb dies,
yes,
the paranoia, the massive stages of paranoia start kicking in.
Time.
The mother's already having a bit, but everything, including with the father.
They're grieving, of course, as well.
Yeah, you've got claustrophobia, you've got religious, massive religious. You got hysteria. You've got children dying.
Paranoia.
You got a talking goat. I mean, you got all this shit happening and big titty witches.
Yes.
So, and this takes place. I could be wrong. I believe I read it somewhere. I'm probably wrong. About 30 years before the Salem
I
witch
think
trials.
it was about like 60 odd years or something, but you're in the right ballpark. Yeah, it's
All right,
early
so-
1600s.
It's early stages of paranoia, as this paranoia is going to fuel the entire East Coast.
Yes.
As what will happen
Absolutely.
with the Salem witch trials. So he's playing with that. So you had all this stuff going on. Perfect storm. Everything's fucked. But yeah, Caleb does die.
Yes. I would say as well, just
Now-
as a side note, the young actor, I mean, they're all great in this, but the young actor who plays Caleb, I forget his name, he's really good, actually.
They're all there to do their job, and they're all very good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a minimal cast.
Yes.
So you can't have that supporting actor coming in and steal the show like Gary Oldman all of a sudden. He's the extra farmhand. You know what I mean?
He's the exorcist.
But yeah, you don't have that. He's not using that, and that's deliberate. He doesn't need that
Yes.
luxury. This plays a lot like we talk about quite a few times. Burnt Offerings.
Yeah.
It's more about family dynamic rather than anything else. And the witch just comes into play at the end.
Yes.
You know, it plays on their fears and it plays on their paranoia, it plays on their Christianity, it plays on and exactly what the devil would probably do.
Yeah. Yeah. The devil is a trickster, you know, traditionally and historically. So this makes perfect sense.
So, what's with horror films and the men chopping a lot of wood?
I think that's...
You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah, I think he just does that as a sort of... Like, that's his workout. They didn't have gyms or anything back then. So that's like where he just goes out to take out his frustrations, because obviously he's a lot of frustrations. He has a lot of shit going on.
Well,
So...
we talked about that with James Brolin in the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
He's like, dude.
Yeah, I think it's just like a way of like getting it out of you, you know, all of those pent up frustrations and stuff, you know, due to, well, basically your children being killed by a witch who is working for Satan, and also your family completely turning on each other. So yeah, it's understandable, you know, but unfortunately back then they didn't have gyms or punch bags, you know.
There was yeah, true. There's a scene where after the mom chucks the kids in with the goats
Yes,
into a little farm there.
I'd have chucked them
because-
in long ago.
Yeah, she insists that they're involved because of the way the kids didn't know their prayers
Yeah.
and everything that's going on with Thomasine. So she chucks them in with the goat, and that's where things will. That's you fucked up because that's where Black Phillip is, and that's where he's going to start playing with everyone now.
Yeah.
But there's a nice little shot. It's the best shot of the film. It's quite disturbing, and it's so simple. We get some disturbing shots in the film, but it's a nice long shot. It's a creepy, gorgeous background, and it's just William digging the grave for Caleb,
Yes.
and then the mother standing right behind him. And then this is a long shot, and then still a long shot, and then you see the mother just walking into the grave,
Yeah.
and then it cuts to she's cradling her dead son in the grave,
Yes.
and she looks up at William almost to say, "Just burn me with him because I'm dead."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I mean, she's completely beside herself with grief, having just, you know, obviously Caleb, but also the baby as well. And she even says that she didn't even want to go to New England. She wishes that she was back in England, in the north of England, you know, or home, you know, but she agreed with William to go to this plantation. But because he was such an uptight, a puritanical asshole, even more so than the Puritans, they can't even go to the plantation. They had they'll get kicked out of the plantation. It's all William's fault here. He's a fool. He's a fool here. And he admits it. He basically admits it. He realizes it later on. So he does. This is all down to him.
Yeah.
You feel sorry for him a bit, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why he self-sacrifices himself.
Yeah, pretty much.
He kills himself. No, he does. He kills himself. When Black Phillip pops out of nowhere and scared the fuck out of me and horns him in the stomach, he picks up an axe. He looks at it and says, fuck it, chucks it down, and lets Black Phillip kill him. Mm-hmm. He kills himself.
Well, I mean, he's at the end of his tether type thing. So for all intents and purposes, I think he had resigned to his fate, you know.
He's like, yeah, nobody's coming to save me at this
was
point.
like, fuck it, yeah, I you know, enough's enough, you know, type thing. Yep.
Well, and then you got the showdown between Catherine.
I would say
and,
as well, sorry, just before that, it's heavily implied that, although we only see the carcasses of the other goats, it's heavily implied that Black Phillip has killed the two little brats, you know, after the scene where the witch is milking the goats, you know, in the hut where they're locked up. It's heavily implied
Yeah.
that Mercy and Jonas have been killed by Black Phillip, or possibly the witch.
Yeah. Yeah, because you see Thomasine walking into the barn, and she just looks down. You don't see anything,
Yeah.
but it's implied. I mean, that goes without saying, really.
Yeah.
And then there's the big battle between her and the mother. Pretty brutal, actually.
Yes.
The dirty old spade stabbing your mother in the head. Ugh.
It's even before she kills her. There's the cut she does where, like, just along her eye and stuff.
Yeah, down the cheek.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's hardcore, like, and it's tragic, you know.
It's very Pennywise. Very Pennywise. And then Black Phillip starts saying, "Hey, do you want to look good? You want a nice dress? You want some butter?
Taste some butter?
Want butter?"
Well, yes, that's another thing. Although obviously
because that was a sin or a luxury or something like that.
Yes, well, both essentially, but it was also.
Are you impressed? I knew that. Are you impressed? I knew that.
Yes, I am, because I just I knew it was butter was considered a luxury back then, but just doing my sort of research today, I just discovered that it was.
Let me ask you this:
sin.
If they used, I can't believe it's not butter. Is that a sin?
Or margarine? Well, that's like something Black Phillip would do, because he's a trickster, He would trick them. Here, go ahead, take this. I can't believe it's not butter. It's golden cow. You'll be all right. And then they're damned to hell for all eternity for eating butter, putting butter in their toast.
And of course, we end with a naked, well, at least it's a naked woman, and walking into the forest, and you get a bunch of naked old witches. I will say a coven of witches, I guess. It's a coven of witches. And they float in the air, and that's
What's your interpretation of the ending? Do you still believe that Thomason was behind it all along? I don't. I basically think that she's lost everything. And Black Phillip's plan is now complete, and she is basically decides she has nothing. Her family are all dead. She has lost everything. She said, but along with the fact that she's been accused of being a witch, it's like she said, you know what? Screw it. I might as well just become a witch now. I have nothing else in my life.
I would go with, I like the fact that she's not. I like the fact it's a claustrophobic. It's The Shining.
Yes.
None of this is really happening. It's
mass paranoia with his family.
It's mass paranoia, and the way her mother treats her from the beginning, that you're a witch. I think at the end, she finally feels she's become one because of the way the mother kept putting it in her brain. So at the end, she just dies. She takes her clothes off, walks into the forest. She'll end up dying of frostbite or whatever.
No. She'll be protected.
What she sees is witches. But I think she just goes into the forest and dies.
I mean, I quite like that interpretation. I prefer the more sort of literal stuff because, I like all that horror shit, and with Black Phillip and stuff. The scene where Black Phillip actually becomes the devil, manifested, is very effective. I would say, with that voice, would dost thou want to live deliciously, or words to that effect. He says, obviously much more effective than I am now. But yeah, it's just a very chilling ending, especially with the witches. Again, more complete attention to detail. The way the witches are singing in this old Enochian sort of tongue and stuff, all basically factual. But like I say, I don't believe in any of that. But it was certainly it was a thing back then in terms of there was a hysteria about it.
Yep. We can go that route.
Yep. Final thoughts, Ciaran?
At least it wasn't a tree stump in it, naked old man.
It was naked old women, but
yeah,
tree
didn't
stumps.
help either. Yeah, you got a goat. Yeah, I don't like folk horror. It's just not for me. And I mean, when I watched it again, yeah, I might. This is the only reason I said in the beginning of the podcast, Robert Eggers still gets a pass, even that horrible Lighthouse and that horrible Northman. Nosferatu's coming, so we'll see what he does with that. And that will be my crowning moment, or hopefully it's his crowning moment where I go, okay, I like this guy. He's 50-50. We'll see what he can do next. Because the guy, whether I like Ari Aster stuff or I like his guy stuff, the actors bring their A game. No matter how bad these films could be, they bring their A game. The actors in this are so good. I mean, they are. They carry the film. It's like Tom Hanks and Castaway. Very minimal cast, but they got to carry that film. And you better bring us into this family. And they do it. And they do it well with what a little cabin, a little barn, and a bunch of trees. That's how they had to shoot with. And like you said, the way he shot it and the camera angles is beautifully shot and well executed. It's not boring. It's an hour and a half. Thank God it didn't overstay its welcome. And over 40 minutes of that is just pure chaos.
Yeah. From
Caleb's exorcism to going, it's just this family turning on each other and quite brutally. And it is open to interpretation, which I don't like a lot of films that do that, as we know, but it's pretty much just two interpretations it's open to. One, did she just lose the plot and decided I'm taking everyone out and self-sacrifice herself, walking in the woods naked, dying? Or is she a witch? That's pretty much your two endings that you can choose from. But at the end of the day, you know what? I'll give it a little pass. I do enjoy The Witch. I thought it was pretty cool. And the whole
it's a deeply
Black Phillip thing was just fucking creepy.
Yeah, a deeply intense classic to me, and for me, one of the greatest horror films of the 21st century.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there, but yeah, that's cool. If you got that out of it, go with it. You clearly haven't seen Barbie.
No, we have. We've done it in this podcast.
It's a joke.
I know.
So there you go. Wow.
We didn't fight. Well, not that much.
And
anyway.
kind of a boring podcast now. Yeah. So thanks again, guys, listening to that one. Like I said, we peppered it in. We have Halloween 3 season of The Witch coming. The 2 Beetlejuices, a Pete Atkins Wishmaster special, and we're gonna close out with Smile 2, which sounds like it might be a pleasant surprise because it is getting rave reviews, and everything that did not work for the original, which me and Trevor agree was not very good. This guy tweaked it and maybe listened to our podcast and fixed it. So I'm actually looking forward to going to see that. I'll be going to see that next weekend. I think that's all I've got. What do you got?
I'm good. Yeah, all good.
All right. We'll wrap this one up. Guys, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. I'll do.